We have a slew of earnings that we want to get to, but I first want to kick things off with Roku. Roku shares are jumping today, and it really all has to do with guidance, and that guidance coming in greater than expected. If we take a look at the numbers here, for the fourth quarter, Roku sees adjusted EBITDA of $10 million compared to the expected loss of $57.6 million. That's according to Bloomberg consensus estimates. So that's really a big driver in the rally that we're seeing in shares right now. The company also sees net revenue of $955 million, also higher than expectations, with gross profit of $405 million. So a positive outlook for Roku, and we know that a lot of these earnings, that's ultimately what investors want to see. But digging into the prior quarter, we did see net revenue up 20% year over year on a net loss of $330.1 million. Now, this was a wider loss compared to the prior year period, but we did see platform revenue along with streaming hours and active accounts come in higher there. So overall, very strong quarter for Roku. They're really a barometer as well for the ad environment. And they say, although the ad market continued to be challenged in the third quarter, they were able to see some benefits at the end of the day. And that's because they have a lot of diversification, which analysts have called out as well. But again, a 15% pop in shares right now after hours.
Yeah, look, the stock was down a lot this year, bouncing really high here. A couple of things I want to call to you. You mentioned a lot of good guidance numbers there, but platform revenue up 17%, gross profit up 22%, active accounts up by 2.3 million, streaming hours up almost 5 billion hours, in a quarter. I mean, those are some big numbers there. It seemed that Roku had sort of hit some speed bumps, growth is slowing down. How many boxes can they sell? They're kind of on the cheaper side. How many more people can they actually sort of get back into their ecosystem? And I guess it's still happening.
Yeah, and I think, Pras, you made a good point about shares being down a lot. And then you take a look at shares over the last month, they were down about 15%. And when you just think about sort of the market sentiment to end the day coming into earnings here, we've seen stocks really not move that positively on positive earnings that people have been worried about. Fed higher for longer, rising yields. Well, guess what? To end the day today, to end Fed Day, we saw yields fall, right? And we have overall market sentiment being a little bit risk on into the close. I think that sort of helps Roku and helps some of these non-profitable tech companies when you think about just investors being ready to pile back in. It has not been a moment over the last month where people are buying unprofitable tech companies. So I think if you're Roku, a little bit happy, a little bit lucky, but it's not a bad day to report earnings.
Hey, 43 million adjusted EBITDA. You can't beat that, right?
Yeah, but we were just showing. I mean, they reported a wider than expected loss. You would think that would drive shares down, but again, it all has to go with that guidance. That's really what investors want.
Yeah. What do you think about the fact that, well, I know there's some other deals happening in the streaming world, but with Roku in particular, is it sort of gaining popularity in that space? Are people actually using it for streaming Roku's own sort of content?
They are trying to get more into original content. We had that Weird Al movie that they came out with. So they're trying to dive in a little bit more to Roku originals, but they're also, in that connected TV market. They have a lot of different touch points that they can rely on if other parts of their business aren't doing so hot. So analysts overall have been pretty bullish on this stock. They've restructured, they've done some layoffs. So they're working hard, and clearly that's reflected in the guidance.
I love the product. You guys use the product?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
I think it's super convenient to be able
easy
to plug into a smart TV, and obviously they've been making hardware now too with the actual TVs themselves. So I think that's something that's just been impressive to be able to move into that hardware space, Pras, and sort of pull that next lever, right? Get that next round of revenue in from selling that hardware.
Push one of those Netflix direct buttons on that Roku box.